This week on Entertaining People, East meets West from the sea, a New England clam bake, and a point-raised crab feed. Don't miss this episode. Today on Entertaining People, it's all about the crab claw. I'm Porter William, your host, and our menu today is a point-raised crab feed, and I'm going to do a hybrid between a traditional New England clam bake that they would have on the beach and a West Coast version of that where we have beautiful, fantastic crabs that we get from the Pacific Ocean and the Pacific Northwest. All the traditional fixings of both seashores coming together today on Entertaining People. The first thing I want to show you is going to be our pancetta and Brussels sprout warm coleslaw. And it starts very simply by having some sheared pancetta, and I'm just going to dice this and slice it. I already have it very thinly sliced. I'm going to add it to a pan with some butter, and we're going to reduce and render all the fats out of this. I want these nice strips and chunks of this pancetta in the Brussels sprouts. I have 1 cube of butter in my saute pan, and I'm using a high-sided pan so that I can continue to add the Brussels sprouts. They'll cook down slightly, but this only is on the heat probably about 4 minutes because we don't want the Brussels sprouts to actually wilt. It's still going to be served cool and crispy. I'm going to set this on the stove and we can get this going. Now when we talk about shearing, chopping, or shaving any type of vegetable, there are a few different choices available to us. One of them, of course, is the classic French mandolin. You've seen this used by the master chefs throughout the world. Because of the shape of them, it's going to be pretty hard to roll them. You can also just simply cut a Brussels sprout. And with this slaw, it's okay if it's slightly thick. I'm going to show you just how to top our sprout. There's our, look at that, look at the green. We get these in Northern California. If you can't find them in your area, ask your produce manager to see if you can bring some in. There's a dry end and usually a couple bruised leaves right on the outside. I just like to pull them off, save as much as you possibly can, and just really just have a pile or a bowl for your garbage. So what I'm gonna do with my prepped Brussels sprouts is I'm gonna be using a food processor. I like to just leave my processor on if it's not too noisy, and do a couple at a time. You can also pre-prep your entire bowl. You can see how they're just chopping up perfectly as I drop them in one by one. I've got my bowl really full, so I'm gonna take my cap off right over my bowl. Remove that blade. Look at that beautiful green we have going in. Sheared Brussels sprouts. You see some thicker pieces, some thinner pieces. Now, that means this is going to take just a couple seconds once we actually toss it in over here on the stove. I like to use a set of tongs, by the way, because it allows me to really control what's going in. Let's take our Brussels sprouts on top of our pancetta. Beautiful color. And we want to cook these for just about maybe a minute or 2 on high heat. We do not want these to wilt too far. We still want them to stay crispy. And I can tell by this size, once we get it mixed in, we'll probably be able to fit all of this in our pan. Then we're going to return it right back to about 1/4 of the Brussels sprouts that are uncooked. This will help maintain a crunchiness and a freshness. Here's the base of our Brussels sprouts with our pancetta. This slaw is going to be really cool. I'm just going to set it on the side, small plates for people to dig in on our crab and clam feed tonight. It's going to be really cool. Wait till you see the tablescape as we turn everything into a dock worker's dream. Okay, with that done, back to the board. And I'm just going to toss those raw bits from the bottom. 1 big scoop from the bottom, that's why I'm using tongs, and put it on the top. From the bottom to the top. Now we're going to have that equally distributed. And at this point in time, I am going to add some fresh, coarse black pepper. If you like your slaw slightly sweet, then go ahead and just add a tablespoon to our sugar. Because we're using salt from the sea, I'm going to add some of this coarse rock salt. When I come back, we're going to put together our crab boil, our clams, our potatoes, our artichokes. Everything's going to come together in this massive big pot. I'm going to show you how to do a great point-raised clam and crab feed in your own home. I'm separating my egg yolks from the whites here to make an aioli, and I can assure you that an aioli is not traditional of a New England clam bake, but it is here on the West Coast from Point Reyes, which is a great little coastal town in Northern California. I want a dipping sauce, but I don't want it for the crab, although I know everyone's gonna use it for that. I want it for our artichokes, our California artichokes. Now, if you have a store-bought mayonnaise, you can simply add that mayonnaise to your food processor. I'll show you how to do that. And add some herbs. Today I'm going to do a cayenne aioli because I want some heat on these artichokes, and I'm also just going to do a nice smooth lemon garlic basil. I think that's going to be a perfect addition to the flavors of the artichoke. If you've never eaten an artichoke, what you do is you peel off each leaf piece by piece and you run it through your teeth. It really is great fun. Mayo is very simple when it comes to ingredients. It's egg yolks and an oil. In my food processor with my lower blade, I'm going to put about half of my yolks in this one. I'll just reserve those for later based on our consistency. And I will put the top on the food processor. Now where the food pusher went before, I have this open channel, and I'm going to leave the pusher out. You'll want to turn your food processor on high and then very slowly drizzle the oil into your food processor. You're going to keep drizzling this. What's happening is we're actually emulsifying the oil. Now you can do this with a hand whisk, but what that means is that the blade is breaking up each of those little molecules into itty bitty bits along with the egg. Typically about 50-50. I think some of the famous master chefs of the world, Miss Julia Child, was known for bringing real homemade mayonnaise, as they say in France. They have pommes frites avec mayonnaise in Belgium, which is French fries with mayonnaise. And in the south of France, they have a rouille, which is a dipping sauce, which is typically served with seafood or a soup de poisson, a shellfish soup, sometimes even with, well, on the West Coast, we get it here with our great cioppino. Let's let that continue processing for just a moment. Turn it off and see what our thickness is. It looks really beautiful. Now a homemade mayonnaise is going to be a little bit more runny. That's the perfect consistency for an aioli because this is a dipping sauce. It's not held and it's not processed like the kind that you get in the store. You want to smell that? Make sure it's fresh. Again, this is the consistency we're after. It's going to hold on to the spoon and barely move. All right, I'm going to add just a little bit of sea salt because it is a mayo. Pop that in there. And I'm going to reserve half of this because I'm making two different aiolis with my homemade mayo. Take this off, and I'm going to just pour a portion of that into the bowl. There goes our beautiful sea salt chunks. That'll be for our second aioli. This one is going to be for our basil aioli. I've got some fresh basil that's going to get a trip to the barber today. When you do an aioli, you don't have to be so focused on just the leaves. A few stems won't hurt. Fresh basil going right into that food processor. I think we'll add a little bit of garlic if you've got a fresh clove. I am such a fan of the great freshly minced and freshly frozen garlics that are out there. You really do have the ability to control the amounts, and your hands don't get quite as messy, but there is nothing better than a great garlic clove in your hand. With our processor still intact, pop and lock, and turn that on. Now you can see right here that that's coming together. I want to have full green flecks so they know what it is. And that aioli is done. Look at our beautiful basil coming through there. We're going to refrigerate this. This can hold for days on end. In fact, what I usually do at home is I fill a leftover jelly or jam jar that I've washed through the dishwasher. And I keep it covered up and I just use it all throughout the week. Now our second aioli is just a simple, bright mustard. I'm going to use a little bit of Dijon into my fresh, there we go, just about a tablespoon will do it, to my fresh mayo. And I'm going to reach right off my plate here and grab a lemon. And when we're adding acid to an aioli, you do have to Be careful because we want to make sure that the acid doesn't break the egg. So just a little bit of lemon juice. Slip that right through your fingers. That'll catch all the seeds. Let's do another one. I'd say probably just about a tablespoon of the lemon. And let's just mix up that mustard. You'll see that come together right there in the bowl. That's it. How simple is homemade mayonnaise? Aioli in its current form, now that it has great flavors. To test your aioli, I like to just grab a fresh piece of vegetable or a cracker or cheese. I'm gonna get one of my Brussels sprouts with a clean leaf. Let's try our first one right there. Oh, the yellow and the green is beautiful. That's perfect. It could actually use a little bit of salt. I think it's gonna mellow out by the time my guest gets here. My second leaf, let's try our basil aioli. Look at the color on that. That's beautiful. Fresh, clean, like the California seacoast. When I come back, we're gonna put together our crab boil, our clams, our potatoes, our artichokes. Everything's gonna come together in this massive big pot. I'm gonna show you how to do a great point raised clam and crab feed in your own home. When you're preparing a clam or crab feed, you really need a big pot, and in fact the home improvement stores now have an outdoor version with a burner, which is really large. You can take that to the beach and use it, or you can just do it on your patio. I've got a pot of water right here, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the seasonings that go into a crab or a clam bake, and they're typically called boils. Now today you can get a few different brands that come in these great little see-through packages. The flavor also follows right through as it runs through the water. So we're gonna drop our entire package of our boil seasoning. You can smell all the herbs and spices in there. There's some high and low notes. Ooh, the pepper just got me in there, as well as some sweetness in there. So this whole episode is about this fantastic point raised crab feed. And I told you earlier that on the East Coast, they might put a chicken thigh or two in the pot to give some fat content and also some meat to choose from. But I've been so fortunate to find this Sonoma chicken sausage, and I'm just gonna prepare it in long diagonal strips. I want really large bites. We're gonna be eating a lot with our hands. When doing a crab bake, everything has to go in the order of doneness that's required, which means you're gonna start with the potatoes first. Because we're on the California end, I'll put the artichokes in there, and then our corn on the cob. All right, let me set our sausage aside so I've got some boardroom here. And a good prep on an artichoke is simply bringing that stem off. You can discard that, can't use that for anything. And I do like to peel just a few of the bruised leaves, but once it cooks, we'll have most of those marks off of there. A nice big slice down the middle, all the way through, gives you the gorgeous artichoke. There's a thistle inside, that's the flower, and of course you always hear about the heart of the artichoke. There it is right there, little artichoke 101 for you. Beautiful, beautiful colors and flavors. We're gonna pull off each of these petals one by one and eat them as we dip them into our sauce. So let's keep going with those. I've got 6 for the feed tonight. A half of one of these is plenty for each person. You do have to have it fully cooked. Sometimes artichokes can take up to a couple hours. That's why it's going in first in our boil. New England red potatoes are the first thing into our pot. We're gonna do about 2 pounds of these. Next, that's gonna cook longest are those artichokes. Taking those, I'm laying them right inside the pot there. Next is the corn on the cob, and I've got 6 people coming, so I'm gonna slice these actually into bits of 2. This is a grand scale meal, and you want everything to really be plentiful when it comes out. Last in are our California Sonoma chicken sausages, which are gonna go into the pot. That full, all of our heavies, as we say, are ready to go over to the boil. Now once on the stove, I like to start my boil cold and then bring it up. Some people prefer that it goes into hot, hot boiling water. I'm gonna take some of our
sea salt or rock salt because you could never get enough salt in this. I want it to taste like the ocean. This is the same stuff we're going to be using later. Rock salt right onto the top. That's going to help flavor. Every one of those vegetables in there is extremely thick. We have the artichoke. It's going to take a lot of salt and seasoning to permeate the skin of the artichoke. The potatoes are going to take a long time. We've got the corn on the cob in there, and of course, well, the chicken, we want that in there right away so that we have that fat content and we have that beautiful roundness of flavor. We're going to cover our boil. It's going to take quite some time, usually about an hour or two, depending on how you like your doneness. We're going to want the potatoes finger fork done, and at the very last minute, we're going to put the clams in, and then we're going to put the crabs on top of that. Okay, from the freezer to the bowl. Boy, I would protect my San Francisco sourdough like there's no tomorrow. One for everyone. Don't worry about it. I washed my shirt this morning. It's clean. Individual sourdough rolls. Fresh. It smells like the West Coast, the wharf in San Francisco. I'm gonna do something really kind of cool, something architectural. So when they come in at the end of the table, we're gonna have this pyramid. I think that works out. Didn't plan a pyramid of bread. They're gonna be dipping and tasting and crabbing. And of course, can't have crab without our melted butter. I'm doing it really simple. 4 cubes, I'm gonna put it on a very, very low heat. If you'd like to do this in a glass bowl in your microwave, even safer. I'll just transfer it to a really kind of cool vessel. My melted butter is completely dissolved, and these are the solid fats on top, and I'm going to remove them. We don't want that. This is actually what a clarified butter is, right down at the bottom. For a dipping butter for our crab, we definitely want a clarified butter. So I'm removing all those milk solids, discarding them. See if you can get about 80 or 90%. Whatever you can do is going to make a difference. This great little urn here, a little casserole. I'm just gonna put my drawn butter in. This is a cast iron casserole, so that means I can keep it warm and then just bring it right to the table with our crabs, which, by the way, as you can see, I brought our big, beautiful Pacific crabs all the way home, and I want you to look at the boil. Here is our clam and crab boil. Look at this coming together. There are sausages floating, and on the bottom of the pan, I'm going to start with our clams. It's very hot, so watch your hands. Our beautiful crabs right on top. Go to the Cook Them Whole. Point Reyes, California to New England coming together. Cover that up. Bring that to a very high boil, and
Stay tuned, we'll be right back. This is it, folks. We've waited all day for our Point Reyes crab feed. Check it out. Crab and Clam is all for us to eat right here on Entertaining People. We've got one of these big daddies for you. Just reach in and grab. Nobody can name their crabs. We've got these beautiful ears of corn and all these wonderful clams there. You can eat right on the table in your bowl. You've got each have your own set of crackers. If you want to remove your crab from your bowl, I'm going to give you a taste of this killer sheared Brussels sprout and pancetta coleslaw, which is going to be the perfect topper. If you just pass it on down.
Thanks, Porter.
Man, I appreciate you guys coming out this weekend. I've got a really cool local beer here. It's called Great White. It's from Sonoma County. I think it'll be perfect with these salty dogs that I've got here at my table today. Try that coleslaw out. And what could be more San Francisco style than everybody has your own roll of the beautiful sourdough. We've got a few other things for you. If you can find those artichokes, I've got another pot coming. Those leaves are in there. We have a beautiful homemade basil aioli we made. The mayonnaise is even homemade. We did that today. And then the one over by you, James. When I'm gonna get your crab pickers, your claws, and let's dig in. And put that big red bucket. Can somebody grab that for me?
Sure.
Right in the middle of the table. That's your boneyard. Okay. Trash for the trash at the table. Okay. And one. All right. Finally, East Coast meets West Coast here on Entertaining People from an East Coast clam bake where we've got the potatoes and these great clams. I love to just get in here and everybody's pitching. And then the West Coast, Point Reyes and these crabs. There is no stopping this group. Wow, the flavor is good. That seasoning is dynamite. If you can pitch them in, we're gonna keep score all afternoon. I want to get into this big daddy. I'll toast to the guest. It's a crab feed here. Look at that.
Thanks, Porter. Chef?
There we go. Chef up. Thank you.
Fierce. And so I like to just take these claws and go right in there. Oh, I forgot, these are beautiful. They're Sonoma chicken sausages.
Ooh, very.
And they're really great if you add them to the aioli.
Like some sausage.
Let's get a bite of that sausage. They're really, there's wonderful chicken, Sonoma chicken sausages. Oh, it feels great. Now, an East Coast version of a bake would have probably chicken thighs or chicken legs. And of course, mid-country, low-country, Louisiana would probably have like an andouille or a spicier sausage in with a bake or a feed. And on the West Coast, I looked forever to find something that was local, and this Sonoma chicken is really what I was after. Here's a claw right there. You want to get that right in there. Nice and beautiful. Look at the color of that. You give it a crack. Perfect. Did you get it? Don't put your guest eyes out. I'm Porter William, and well, it has been one heck of an episode here with our crab feed and our clam bake, our East Coast meets West Coast. If you'd like all the details, the recipes, with all the tips and the tricks and the techniques to throw this party, go to entertainingpeople.com. Until then, you know, what I say is from a memory, you can make a memory. So until I see you next time, this is Porter William. I'm entertaining the world one table at a time.